Hello and good evening. It's Wednesday, unlike me to do a live on a Wednesday. But as you know, well, I'll wait until a few people come along. All right, Caroline is watching. So yes, I can see there'll be people coming along. I am a little bit early because we've got quite a lot to do. Oh, Suzanne's watching. Fabulous, Suzanne. You managed to find it, which is great. Suzanne is one of our newest members. Oh, I don't even need... Jill's watching all the way from sunny Spain. Hello, Christine. Hello, Maria. Unusual for me to be able to see comments straight away in the group. So I had my phone today and then I don't need it. Good evening. And Heather, hello. Yes, a little bit to do tonight because yesterday evening, oh my goodness, hello Anne, I had a power cut. I thought it was hot and sunny in Spain, Jill. Cooled down here now and it's very pleasant, but you know, you're around a pool, so you'll have a lovely time, I know. Hello Lorraine. Last night, unfortunately, hello Janet, I had a power cut. Hello Yvonne, and hello Janet. Did I say Janet? Can't remember now. Vanessa's watching. Long time no see, Vanessa. Be nice to see you soon. Hello Catherine, hello Jeeta. Yes, we're fine, thank you. We are now. Hello Lindsay, lovely lady. Hello Pollyann, lovely to see you too. Hello Paps, says hi to everyone. Hello Jill, hello John. Hello Trichettes. Hello Carrie, evening everyone, she says too. Yes, as you know, all the demos in the Sew with Trisha group. Hello Sharon, on a Tuesday evening. I am feeling so much better, Fiona, lovely to see you. Oh dear, you had a power cut Sunday, oh my goodness, it wasn't as long as that. But last night, not just a power cut, oh, lovely. There was a sewing machine on the desk in Barcelona Castle. Fabulous. I was in the shower. Well, the shower wouldn't turn on. I thought, Martin has broken my shower. Thank you, Vanessa, I am. But my daughter had come in to use my iron, and the iron wouldn't work either. So something had tripped in the box, in the electricity box. So she turned that on, the shower worked. Prior to this, I had, can you see, I put a colour on my hair. So, got into the shower. Hello Jane, hello Wendy, feeling loads better, thank you. Got into the shower, got the colour rinsed off, got the conditioner on, then the power went off again. So there am I, hair full of conditioner, and you know what happens if you don't rinse all the conditioner out. You have greasy hair, don't you? And I thought, oh my goodness. So dashed through to the bathroom, used the hand shower set, hello Carol, to get it off, fine, got dried, came downstairs and thought, oh. So by this time it was 6:10. Then I thought, I can't dry my hair, I can't go on looking like this. But no internet because no power, hello Kathleen, no sewing machine because no power. So it was quickly, yes, Fiona, not fun. So, as I say, hello, Beverly. Just not the fact that we had a power cut, but the fact that it messed all my plans up. And if I hadn't got the colour off, what on earth would I have done then? Hello, Elaine. Hello, Marion. So, yes. So, anyhow, I'm here tonight, and all is well. We have power at the moment, and I hope we have it. It came on about an hour, hour and a half later, so not too bad. Hello, Jean. Good evening to you. Yes, so, anyhow, that's by the by. Found some candles while I was waiting as well, just in case. Was trying to work out what I could have to eat, and I thought, well, I can at least put the gas on and light the gas with a match. I've got some of those. Hello, Sue. I know it's how we blame the husband. Absolutely. My immediate thought for anything is Martin's done it. How awful is that? Hello Jenny, I am feeling so much better. I'm sorry about last Friday. Bit cooler with you, yes it is here. And I will give Oliver your best wishes for his birthday. Oh yeah, they're such cuties. So the football kit he was putting on or just put on was what I gave him for his birthday. And well, it wasn't just that. The fact that when I ordered it, it wasn't coming until Friday. I thought, well, I've got to have something for his birthday. So through that great big river, I ordered a Liverpool training suit. So we've got the jacket and the trousers for that. Well, the football kit came yesterday, Monday even, and the training kit came today. So he's had double whammy, but who cares? He loves them both. So I will pass your wishes on, Jenny. Thank you. Hello, Anne. Hello, Carolyn. Hello, Mary. Janet, good evening. You really don't know what day I'm in this week. I feel like that all the time, Janet. Okay, Catherine, do watch tomorrow. So anybody that's watching now, yes, it's the block of the month, but if you're fairly new to patchwork, please, please, please join the group Patchwork and Quilting for Absolute Beginners, or Absolute Beginners Patchwork and Quilting. Can't remember what I called it now. Hello, Shirley. Oh dear, I'm used to manure. Farmer's daughter and all that, you know. Hello, Sheena. Yeah, power is great now. Please, please, please. So, oh, lost my drift now. Must be that manure smell. Never mind. Yeah, so feeling much better after the heat. Oh no, I was saying about Absolute Beginners, that's right. Please join the group, it is free. It starts this Friday morning at 10:30. Hello, Sue. And we will go over the next 6 weeks. Hello, Sandra. Sandra hopes we're all well. Hello, Jane. And we will go right from the start. Tools, cutting, I've got it all listed down. We're going to make, you know, a small quilt, and we are going to make sure we get all of our measurements right. We're going to make sure our seams are right. We're going to layer it up and we're going to quilt it. Hello, Janet, and hello, Amanda. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Patchwork for Absolute Beginners. That's what we are doing. Oh, where have those comments gone now? Don't know. It went. Anyhow, it will be a great thing. As I say, absolutely free, but it will get you along the lines of doing all those things. Oh, lovely. Thank you, Lindsay. Better than car fumes. Yes. Yeah, so it will be in the group. The video will be in the group for you to go back and forward all the time while we do that course. Once we've finished, the group will be archived, if you like, but you'll still be able to go in there and look in there. So it won't take any more new members after that point. Jill, it's this Friday. This Friday it starts 10:30 in the morning. But if you're in the group, you will be able to watch it later if you can't watch it live. You know, not a problem at all. So, shall we get on with tonight's block? Now, because I wanted to show you how to quilt one of the blocks or all of your blocks, because we are going to make it as a quilt as you go. So each block will be quilted individually, and then we'll put it using the joining method for quilt as you go blocks, so that you don't have to have a big quilt going under a small throat of a machine. So everybody will be able to do it, even though you work from home. As I say, you don't have to be live, but if you want to dip in and then dip out, absolutely fine. So I'm going to show you how to quilt a block, and then if you want to, you can get on ahead in quilting all the rest of your blocks as well. Oh, fly or dust or whatever. So I've made tonight's block very straightforward. I won't say easy, because we don't always find everything easy, but it is one of the easier blocks. All straight lines, so squares, and it's the Disappearing 9 patch. Now I'll show you, the PDF is in the files. Now as you can see here, this is a 9 patch block because there are 9 patches. These patches happen to be squares, so there's 9 squares. And in this one here, the big one, it just shows 2 colours. Now I've made one up, and I'll show you how it turns out. So this is what my 2 colour disappearing 9 patch block looks like. So just 2 fabrics, and laid out in that, as in that large square. So I had the dark blue ones at the corners and in the middle, and I had the pale green in the in-betweens. I'm just reading as well. The pale ones are the in-between. So you've got 5 of the dark one, 4 of the lighter one. But if you want to, the technique will be the same, but the results will be different depending on how many colours you use and also the placement of your colours. So down the side here are other ways of laying out your colours. So like this one here has 3 colours, and this is the one I'm going to do tonight. This one here has also got 3, but you can see how 2 colours are laid on 2 adjacent sides with a 3rd colour in the bottom corner, and then the other 2 here are another colour. Or you could place them like this, or like this, or like the top one, or there. So you've got different variations, or you could make them all completely different fabrics. So if you are using 9 different fabrics in your quilt blocks, by all means use a different fabric in each square, but the technique will be exactly the same. So we are using 3 3/4 inch squares, because a 9 patch you can do whatever size squares you like, but because we want to end up with a similar size block to all the rest of our blocks, which is 9.5 inches unfinished, I have made these blocks to suit this. It will be minimally bigger, but we trim it down to the 9.5, and because it is so minimal, it's by about 1/4 of an inch. But if you imagine that it's an eighth of an inch on each side, you're not going to notice it at all. So the blocks, the squares we need to cut are 3 3/4 inches. I have mine here, so I have, that one is going to be my centre square, I think, yeah. So I have got 4 of each of the light one, 4 of each of the dark, and this 1 for the centre. Hello Linda, hello Tony, and I've got 9 in total. There's the other colour ones behind there as well. So as I said, I am using, I'm doing this one here. So I've got 4 of one colour in the corners, 4 in between, and a different one in the middle. So that's the one down here that I'm going to do tonight. So let me so we will begin. Let's just put this down to the machine and bring that in a little bit so that you can see. And I'm just going to lay these out. This is the easiest way to do it. Let's see, I'll put my dark ones in the corners. It will look different if I do the light ones in the corners, but I think that's what I'm going to do. Dark in the corner. That is my one single square in one fabric in the middle, and then I'm going to have the light ones, and I'm not bothering about which direction these fabrics are going, because we are going to chop them once we have stitched them together. So 1/4 inch seam allowance. Let's just see, we'll come in a little bit closer there, but so that you can still see it. And I'm going to join them all together. I suppose on this particular one you can't do it the wrong way, but if we get used to a particular way of doing things, we just automatically do it when we can. Sometimes I would stitch that whole row together, then I would stitch that row together and then that row, and then we join the row to the middle and the bottom row to the middle as well. But I do like this particular technique where I place the middle row onto the left hand side, like so, and line those up. And then I'm going to stitch down here, down the next one, and down the next one, and I'm not going to cut the thread in between. So let's just bring that round there. So I'll move those over a little bit. I know they're going to be all on the right hand side, but I'm going to take, you didn't see me take that, did you? So I've got those here. I'm going to take this top one here and I'm going to take it to the machine. I'm lining up those raw edges and I have got my 1/4 inch seam and my 1.8 stitch length because I like a short stitch length for my patchwork, and I'm going to sew down that side. Okay, so having done that, I'm going to take the next one from here and I'm going to sew down the right hand side again. Now what I did forget to say to you, but I'll show you in a moment, I'll just take this third one now. So again, I'm going to stitch down the right hand side, making sure those edges line up. If you want to put pins in here, by all means do. If not, do as I am doing here and just stitch them all together. So having stitched those three, let me just move these over to this side here for a moment. So having stitched those together, I can now open them out like so, and they're all joined together, and as you can see they're joined together. I can move that one and we've got this linking thread here, so they are all in exactly the right place where I want them to be. And then I'm going to take the rest of them. That one is going to go on there, this one onto the middle, so the right hand side goes onto that middle row. So because they're going to foot at home, you can take them one at a time to put onto your pieces that are there. If I do this, I need to pin it roughly, because otherwise they're going to fall on the floor. So because they're all joined together apart from this one, I'm now going to just, you see how they're just hanging there? If I didn't pin them, they'd fall onto the floor. So I'm just going to line that edge up there, make sure that is perfectly aligned. And again, I'm just going to stitch down the right hand side. There is that one. Then I can come to the next one and I can take the pin out and just make sure that is perfectly aligned, which that is. And stitch down there. I'm keeping the right hand side of my foot totally in line with that edge. And then we'll do this last one. Just line that up. So I'm just flicking that with my nail to make sure all the edges are aligned perfectly, and then carry on down this side too. Okay. So at this point, I would now, we can open that out, we can double check that they're all in the right place, and they are. We have got the darker ones on the outside, so we're alternating them, and the light ones in the middle, and right in the centre is that other colour. So what we're going to do now is get this iron working, because it is much nicer to be able to press as you go. So if you have, I'm just going to bring this in here, if you have either a pressing mat, wall pressing mat, and a little iron, fine, but when I've got the, oh, I don't need that bit for the minute. When I have got the iron here in the ironing board, I'll just drag that in. So here is my block, okay, and when we press them, we're going to press the seams together to one side, and when I've got this, these rows are going to be stitched. We're going to fold them down and stitch across there, fold this up and stitch across there. But it's much better if your seams are pressed before you start. So let's flip it up the other way, and we're going to nest the seams as we stitch. So what I'm going to do, I've got this bottom row, I'm going to press the seams in that direction, and also the top row, because I want to alternate the direction of the way the seams are going. So this one here, I'm just going to pull at this other end, just slightly, just so that I haven't got any pleats that I'm pressing into the patchwork. So there is that one. And then while we are going in that same direction, because you will find a preferred direction as well, I'm going to press this top one. I do like a bit of steam, I know steam can distort, but if you use it properly, you'll be fine. So I've got that row going that way, that row. This row I want to go that way. Now rather than me have the iron in the left hand and push that way, I can just turn this around and then I can press in the same direction because those seams are going to be going in the opposite direction. Let's just push that across there. So these are going to go in that direction and this one at the top is going in that direction, even though I'm turning it round. So just make sure you don't press those other ones the wrong way or a bit skew. So now, as you see, whoops, I want that to go that way, don't I? I've unpressed it, I think. So we want that to go that way, that's it. So hopefully you can see these seams are going that way, those ones are going that way, and that is going that way. So when we turn it back to the right side, see how much better it looks already, having been pressed. We're going to take the top row and bring it down onto the middle row, and then there we are going to nest these seams. Now because we pressed them in opposite directions, they nest beautifully. So if you are a beginner, by all means place a pin. So I've just pushed those together so you can see they are butt up to each other, not overlapping, and then pop yourself a pin in there. And then the same here, they just sit in place next to each other, and this is how we're going to get those perfect intersections, just because we've taken care in nesting those seams together. Oh, I don't want that to fall off. Okay, so let's just go back to the machine and we'll put our patchwork block underneath and we are going to stitch along this edge. So as you can see, that fits perfectly along there and we've got our seams nested there. So make sure those edges align and start stitching again, watching your foot on that side. So that, take the pin out just before we get to the intersection where the seams meet. And the same here, we're going to the next one, and then take the pin out just before, and then here, that should just line up perfectly as well. And we will go down to the bottom there. Okay, so when we open up, what we should have, I can get hold of that, is perfect intersections there, which you can see they are. Good evening, Pat. And hello, Angela. So now we have got the piece at the bottom here. That needs to come up to the middle as well. So this time I won't pin, but I'm just nesting those so you can feel it between your finger and your thumb. Just sort of pull them together, and then when it matches there perfectly, you know you've stitched your seam with an accurate 1/4 inch, and all is well. So I keep my finger on that where the seams are meeting so that they don't budge. And then I'll lift this bit up here, just make sure, and I can feel that. I'll just press that down, carry on sewing, press that down, and stitch across this one as well. And we'll see, and then there, that matches perfectly at the bottom there as well. So all is good. And just make sure those seams, the raw edges, match perfectly as well. Okay. So there we have the other ones. So, yep, we've got perfect intersections again. So just those little tips there. So I'm just going to go back to the ironing board, lay that down, and from the reverse, I'm going to press these seams. Now to me, that is saying that one wants to go that way and that wants to go that way. So we will do that because this doesn't, it's not crucial that they go one way or the other. So I'll just move that around because I do like moving this way. I'm just pulling this little bit here, as I say, just opening those seams out I'm trying to keep the rest of it as flat as possible. So once we've done the front, we can now just give this side a press, push against those seams so that they are perfectly, so you can see there, that's exactly that centre square where these seams come together, you've got a perfect match, which is really good, just what we wanted. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to the cutting because this is where our 9 patch disappears. So I'm going to move that out of the way and I might lift this onto here. So I've got my cutting mat and I have my rotary cutter and ruler. Now what we need to do, this should actually measure 10 1/4 inches. So let's have a look. Oh, well, I'm very lucky. 10 1/4 that way. We want it to measure 10 1/4 this way. And we are 10 1/4. Don't know if you can see that there, 10 1/4. So I'm going to cut it into 4 equal squares. I'm going to cut vertically and horizontally. So half of 10 1/4 is 5 1/8. So not the most wonderful size to think about, but you can find it on your ruler. Let's just get a bit of fabric here so that you can see. Okay, so there we are. 5 1/8 is going to be, whoops, so here is 5, that's 5 1/4, or let's say that's 5 1/2, halfway between the 5 and the 6. 5 1/4 is halfway between there. 5 1/8 is that little mark there. Okay, so that little mark. So I'm going to line up 5 1/8. Well, I'm going to go vertically first. So I'm going to do it this way, and I'm looking for the 1/8 at that side. So I am going to stand up when I cut, and once we've cut, we don't want to move the rest of the fabric. So let's look for that 1/8 inch mark. Remember, it's between the 1/4. So let's just line that up there. 5 1/8, 5 1/8. So also what you can see in the middle of this square is this square here should be 3 1/4. So an 1/8 over the 1 1/2, which that, so you could look at this line here if you wanted to. So I am happy with that. 5 1/8, 5 1/8. Whoops, there we go. So I'm now going to cut, and we will be doing a tiny bit of trimming. It's moving a little bit. Let's just get that 1 1/8, 1 1/8. Oops, there we go. Right, so hold that firmly, and move my hand there, and then we'll go. Oh, so I cut vertically. Now rather than, so I've got that all as it is, so I now want to, I'm just going to move my, lift that up so I can put this under here. I'm now going to turn the board so that nothing's moved, and I'm going to do exactly the same across this direction. So 5 1/8, 5 1/8, and as I say, I can also look down here in the centre that it's an 1/8 inch past 1 1/2. Okay, so that's good. So I'm putting my hand, pressing my hand down so that I can cut there. Okay, so I've done the hard part. Now we can pull it apart because we're going to shift these. Okay, so we just pull that apart like so. And all we're going to do is 2 movements. I'm going to move these 2 diagonally opposite 180 degrees. So the dark one goes in the middle, and the same here, this dark one is coming into the middle, 180 degrees, and we have a block now that looks like that. Totally different. So I'm going to do exactly the same as I did, same technique in, I'm going to join this to this, so flip the right hand onto the left, and again, the right hand bottom onto the left. And I'm going to stitch down this side, not cut the thread, and then down this side too. So let's just move those over, keep them in the same orientation, and stitch those down. So let's just come in, oops, again, a little bit quick, wasn't it? But right, so let's take the top one here, line those edges, and we are going to stitch down this side. So again, with the 1/4 inch seam allowance, all the way like so. And then we'll take the next one in and align that all as well. There we are. And carry on stitching. So you don't want to stitch too far in between. Let's just move that over so that lines up. That's it. But we want to have a linking thread there. Now I could tell that I wandered a little bit there. So I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to re-stitch just over there because the edge of my foot wandered inwards a bit, so I haven't got a true 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I've just gone over. No need to unpick because we're coming a little bit further in. So there are my two pieces. So I'm now going to open that one out and the top one, open it out like so. And we're now going to flip the top one, which is attached, onto the bottom like so. I'm not going to press it this time, I'll press it afterwards. But I want these two seams in the middle, which are joined together. I want one to go one way and one to go the other. So I'm going to press that one down on the top and the one underneath. And I will, because I haven't pressed it, I am going to pin there because I don't want it to move. So we just put a pin in there to hold that seam, and then that should match too. Okay, and that means that I have cut that correctly when I cut it into quarters, and we'll start stitching along here. So just make sure those raw edges are lined underneath and above. As we come to the pin, pull that out, and then similarly here, just line those up. And we've got no matching seams. Can you see there's a seam there, but this is a straight one. There's a seam here, but that's straight there. So no seams to match apart from that centre one. So just hold those edges together, and there, and pop that across, and that should all lie beautifully flat. Okay, so there is our 9-patch block. So again, I am going to iron now. So just bring that round here. So we'll iron from the reverse to start off with. Now I can see that seam's going that way. I'm going to have that going that way, that goes that way. So let me just put my hand around here, press that down, and then we will move that for our centre seam there. Just move that, and then I'm going to shift that way so that I can press this one. So that is all the ways. Before I do the front, you can see there that they are all going almost around in a circle. And then we'll turn it over and I'll show you what our centre point looks like there. So I am giving a little bit of steam as we go, but that is exactly how I wanted it to be in the middle. So that's all beautifully done. Now what you can't smell is what I can smell. This smells heavenly. And what I have taken to using, I must admit, let's just go up a bit, just as well you've got fingers and 10 toes. I have never found the need to use this. I only started using it last week, and my goodness, I love the smell. So, in years gone by, it was always a must-have because some fabrics were not, and there still are some fabrics which aren't the best of quality, but if you're always using great quality fabrics, you didn't always need to start because they were nice and stable. Yeah, it is fantastic. Now, I have got some of this coming. It should be here on Friday, so I'll show you the best press. I've got some scent free and some linen fresh and the lavender, but it is heavenly. And do you know, I want to put it on everything. So what I'm going to do, just, the iron is amazing. Brought one of those irons, yes. Don't use it all the, it smells delicious, it does, I can't help it. I shouldn't use it all the time because, as I say, you don't need to. However, it does give just that tiny little bit of extra stability. So if you have problems with your cutting, it may help you. Now, what I was going to show you what I do. So I've got some fabric. This is going to be my backing for when I do the quilting in a minute. Needs a press. So let's just move that out of the way. So I left it like that because I wanted to show you when we use the best press. Now the iron would get the crease out of it anyway, but let's just bring that in there. So I only do the tiniest little spritz. There we are. There were 3 spritzes there. You can probably see. I don't soak it. I read the Americans use it all the time. I've seen them in one of the US quilt patchwork groups, and they actually soak it in it. I don't do that because I just like the smell. But because I spray it so lightly, it dries almost instantly. And I'm actually steaming that as I go as well. So, but you can see it was a little bit flimsy. There we are, I've done now. So, you probably won't be able to see. So this bit is not starched, not best pressed, but this bit is. And it's just got that little bit of extra. It's flat, it's very flat. So I'm actually in love with this. So there's my one piece. I'll do the other piece because I will be using it, won't I? I will be needing it at some point. So 3 or 4 little spritzes. You can see there's not much on there, but it just dries quite quickly. And as I say, it just gives that little bit more stability to your fabric, and especially for when you're cutting. So obviously I've cut this beforehand, but I didn't need to. But there you go. Can you see that there is just that little bit more there? Hello, Nikki. Oh, catch up later, yeah. Use an ironing cloth, fantastic on linen, yes. And also, Christine, my lovely Christine, said to me today, if you use jersey fabrics, you know when you're stitching and they curl up at the edges, use best press and it stays flat. So I've learned something new today as well. So what we're going to do, right, so that is my today's one, but actually, oh no, I can get a bit here. I've got one already. Let's just take that off there. So that was now this is just showing you the difference. So that one was the one I did to show you before I did it. This one was using 3 colours. So it's exactly the same. You've got those 2 small blocks in the centre and 2 there, but I've used 3 colours on that one. So it's almost like it frames, these little bits here, frame that darker colour. Oh right, good idea, Christine, good idea. So let's use the one that I have made today so that you can see. I will use the best pressed starched piece of fabric that I did today. Let's take that one out of the way. So what we'll do, so for each of your blocks, give it a good press. I personally, if they come out at 9.5, so this is what this should be now, around, I think it might be slightly more than 9.5. Yeah, it's 9 3/4, which is what I thought, 1/4 of an inch too big, but don't trim it now, trim it when we've done the quilting. So, I'm going to take my block, and I've cut myself a piece of wadding. Now I'm just using Thermolan. If you want to use your 80/20, fine. Wouldn't use my fusible fleece on this because I don't want it to be rigid. You could use H640 would be good because that's nice and fluffy and fusible. But I'm not using, this is not fusible, this is Thermolan. So it's going to give me a nice flat finish. So the first thing I'm going to do is centre my block on the wadding. And it is fine to have your wadding bigger than your block, because we are going to trim that back anyway. And also it might shift a little bit when you are quilting. So if you have any 505 spray, I also have that too. I'm going to spray the wadding. So whenever you use 505, it holds the layers together. I only ever spray on the wadding. So having smoothed that all out backwards and forwards to get that nice and flat, I'm going to peel back half. Quite often I peel it back diagonally and just give a little spray and then smooth it from the middle back out and out to the sides. Okay? And then if we just move that around, you see how much easier it is to handle a small piece than a big quilt. So I do the same with a big quilt. I'm going to spray a little bit here, as I say, on the wadding again, not the fabric, because we don't know in years to come what will happen to that. It may be absolutely fine, but I always spray the wadding. So now that it's firmly fixed too, well, temporarily, but it's fixed there beautifully so it's smooth. I now flip it over, get those little bits out of the way. So no bits of thread or anything on your wadding, because that could very well show through. If you're using a dark backing fabric, fine, but get used to best practice. And if for everything you always clear the wadding of threads, you won't have that occasion where you didn't and you should have done. But because I'm using a pale fabric for the back, that's it, I'm going to put that's the wrong side, I put that wrong side down onto my wadding, similar size, oversized, smooth that out. Well, I've used my best press, so it is very, very smooth, as you see. And I'm going to do the same as I did before. Having smoothed it out, I'm going to peel it back, and now I'm going to spray the wadding again. Make sure you don't do the ironing board. And then smooth from the middle out to the edges, and that will hold that nicely in place. And then I'll just move that around, and when you peel it back, you can feel, where did I go? I did that in half, that's it. You can feel where you sprayed that too. So let's just spray, there we go. So again, smooth from the middle and out to the edges. And I would do this with whatever size quilt I had, but we're just working on a small block. So you can see how beautifully smooth that is, and my pieces are held on there, so they're not going anywhere, even if I move this about, it's all together. Now if you haven't got spray, what you could do, you could hand baste or tack every, I'd probably do every 3 inches on this, so big stitches across to hold it together. You could use safety pins. There are quilters pins which are curved. You could put safety pins, and I would put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 probably to hold the layers together. But they may still move even with that. You might have what they've got, like a little tag gun. So I'm just going to move this back over to here. A tag gun, which puts those, when you have labels on garments, there's a special one for quilters that put little tags that goes through all 3 layers and holds it all together while you're quilting, and then you take them out afterwards once the quilting is finished. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to use my walking foot. So I'm going to show you what a walking foot looks like, and if you have one with your machine, I would most definitely use one. So this is a walking foot. Let me put it this way round. Now the walking foot works with, can you see, those little rigid bits there, or those zigzaggy bits, are a second set of feed dogs. So there's feed dogs on the underneath, or rather in here, and these feed dogs are on the bottom of the foot. And what it does, it holds the layers. You've got 3 layers here. You've got the patchwork, the wadding, and the backing fabric. And a walking foot will make sure that your layers stay together directly above each other and don't shift. If you are sewing 2 or 3 layers together and you just use an ordinary foot, what you'll find is and when you get to the end of a seam, probably the underneath layer will have moved forward a bit and the top backwards, because of the motion there's quite often a little bit of slippage, but a walking foot takes that out of the question. So with your walking foot, it will have a little arm of some sort. Can you see here? That there, and it's going up and down like a little lobster claw. That part here, or this claw, goes over the needle bar. And when it's stitching, when it goes up and down, this goes up and down with it. So that's what helps to keep your 3 layers of fabric directly on top of each other. So going round to, let's see if we can see this here. So I do have to take my standard foot off, whatever it might be, and most of the time, apart from a Bernina which sort of slots on, the walking foot, you have to take off the original foot, or the standard foot, whatever you're using, your 1/4 inch foot, and unscrew this big screw here. So I'm going to undo that. Yes, I have to take this completely out. And I'll take my other foot away and pop that in a safe place. And then also this screw, I can undo the rest of it. So I've got my screw, oops, can't see where we're going. The screw is here. And then with my walking foot, you can see there's, if I do it that way, there's like a little lipped bit there. That's it, you can see it comes around in an L. And there is a hole there, which is what the screw is going through. And I'm going to wrap this part here around this shank here. So this bit here with the little hole in it. See if I'm coming just a little bit closer. So you can see that hole, this hole here. Yeah, that's where the screw is going to go. So the first thing I do though is this little arm, I put that over the needle bar. So let's see. And then at the same time, I'm wrapping around this part, around where, yeah, I've got it there. So that's wrapping it around the shank there. Then I'll get my screw again, and I'm going to put it in that hole and line it up with the hole. Oh, that was good, that's gone straight in. So I've lined that up with the hole in the shank. So, and then I'm just using a screwdriver, because we want this to be firmly installed. We don't want it wobbly, because it could fall off. And just give that a little bit more than, when you feel it's tight, just a tiny little bit more. So I can see now, let's see if we can see that side. I've got the arm around here. No, I can't see it that way. And I've got my walking foot now is on there. It is fully installed. Okay. So now what am I going to do? So first of all, I'm going to turn my stitch length up to 3.5, 3.5, 4 for your quilting, because we want to see the quilting. I'm not going to stitch in the ditch. Stitching in the ditch is stitching in these, here we are, in these seam lines. It is not the easiest thing to do. People say, oh, I'll stitch in the ditch. I wouldn't stitch in the ditch, because it is so easy to come out of the ditch. When you're stitching in the ditch, you shouldn't be able to see it. But my thoughts are, what's the point of going to the effort of quilting and you can't see it? So, what I'm going to do here is, I mean, there's lots of things you could do. You could, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could straight stitch. We could sew. I haven't really thought about it. I think, because I like to use, whoops, let's go back up here. I like to use some of the lines. I'm too lazy that I don't want to draw where I'm going to stitch. So using these squares, what I do like to do is think, right, I'm going to do a diagonal line. I'm going to do, and I quite often do this, and I use the squares to help me. So I'm going to stitch from here to the point, to the other corner, and then I can go across this little square, across that square, and across to the other side. Then I should do exactly the same from this side, across that little one, then the big one, and small one. So I think that's what I'm going to do to start with. It's a case of looking at your blocks. On this one, you have got, I like to use the lines as a guide and stitch, say, 1/4 of an inch to the side of the seam line. But we're going across nothing here, so we could do that. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to place this under the foot, and I'm actually going to stitch from this corner point here. So let's just put the rest of it down. Now, if you want to mark a line to this corner point, the diagonally opposite one, you can, or just let the machine guide and use your eyes to just go across. And I want that to go straight through the point, which it did. Now I'm looking at this next section here, and just make sure I go from one point to the next. That's it, straight through the centre, straight through the centre of that one, and then down to here. Let's just make sure that's it. Make sure I've got wadding all the way there. So I'm just letting that flow and hopefully come off. That's it. So I'm not worrying about the ends of the thread because, so can you see where I've stitched down here, across there, straight through the middle, straight to that other corner point, and then it's come off at this end here. So having done one diagonal, I'm going to do the other one as well. If this were one whole size quilt, one big quilt, I would worry about leaving threads at the end to be able to bury it into the wadding. But because of the quilt as you go joining method that we're going to use, all of these ends are going to be hidden or trimmed away. So they're not going to come undone because there's going to be another seam which takes them in. So that's what I was looking to go straight into that middle point, then straight to the opposite side of this one. And what we'll find with, I'm going to come off right there. So I'll just show you on this pale green bit here. So that's come off right on that point, and we've gone straight in there. So we've gone through that point and through the middle there. You can see the two lines now. So what I could do next, which I think might be quite nice, let me just put the ruler on here. We could go from this point here, but let me just see. That's it, yeah. Does that go there? Yeah, you probably would need, I don't know, can you see what I'm trying to do? I'm not going to do this now, I've decided. So we could go from this corner of the green square down here to the next green, because that goes there, and then it hits the edge of this big square here, but we're going at a funny, just a small sliver there. So I don't think that is a particularly good idea to do that. Because I do want a little bit more quilting on here, you don't have to do loads, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch to the side. This is our centre seam down here and across here. So I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch to each side of that. So this time I am using, what did I think I like to use? We'll use the whole. So I'm using my foot to help me here. So let's just come in a little bit closer. I'm using the foot here. You can't see that very well either. It's got two little gaps there, but I'm using the edge of the foot here. So the edge of the foot is running along the seam, and then that is going to give me, just see if I can push that under there, that is then going to give me about 1/4 of an inch from the seam for my quilting. So I can go down here, and I'm going to do this both horizontally and vertically. You can see very much there. Okay, cut the thread there. So now I can turn it round and go. Can you see I've done that side? So I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to go to the other side. So just move that around, and I'm using the same side of the foot, So the left hand side of the foot is running along that seam line there. So let's keep going down here. And go slow or as quickly as you're comfortable with. But that's going to take us right down to the end. So I have gone, so now you can see that there. We've gone to each side of the seam. And then I'm going to go across here as well. So let's just start there. Oh, perhaps I started the wrong side of it. Yeah, all right, we'll use that side there. So this time I just, because the foot is symmetrical, I can do either way. The needle's right in the middle, and I'm actually using so do whichever you prefer. I'm using the right hand side of my foot this time, which is running down the seam, but it just keeps a nice straight line, and it gives a little bit of dimension to your block. Oh, I went off a little bit there, but hopefully you won't notice. That was me talking and it just went, but you can see there. So we've got the double lines going here and the double lines here, and then we've got a single line coming across there and a single one coming there. But I'll just show you. So the back looks like that. All of our layers are held together. Oh, I haven't done badly. Do start in the middle in case things, if you don't. Do we start? If I were doing a big quilt, we'll talk about this in the absolute beginners, but if I wouldn't start on this particular block because it's small. I would start at the side. If you're using a walking foot, you won't get puckers. As you can see, that is still as smooth as when I pressed it. And on the back, there's no puckers there. Well, that's just, these little puckers are the quilting effect, if you like. So you can't see them that way. There's no pleaty bits. It's all just how, and even, can you see that little cross in the middle? That cross there? That's even practically perfect, isn't it? Oh, you're so excited. Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Suzanne. So, but there is one quilted block as opposed to, where is my other one? I've lost my one that I've made tonight. Where's it gone? So there is that one. Oh, perhaps it's here. Yeah. Or there is the one that is unquilted. It just does, I know you can't see it. If you want to use a real contrasting thread, by all means do. But let me just show you. This is with nothing on at all, and this one's got a bit of quilting. So, as I showed you, for those of you that haven't done too much in the way of quilting, I've used Macawa linen look here on the back, and I'm just going to use cream because what we're going to do when we join them together, we're going to have a strip down here which will make it, which will join all the pieces together. And I shall more than likely, I have to think about it, but I can have a colour. There's going to be another coloured strip down each of these sides which joins it all together. So I thought I'd go for a neutral, creamy look for the back. So that is how, this is nice and easy. As I say, if you want to use, I could have used navy thread, couldn't I? Which would have really stood out on these cream bits here. But I've just got grey on and I'm lazy and don't want to take the rest off. But it does give a little bit of quilting, a little bit more quilting, and a little bit more to your block. So here's one of the others that we did. Now with this one, what would I do here? I mean, what would be really lovely is to actually quilt a 1/4 inch in around this square. Now this is very doable purely because this is small. It will go under you can turn this round really easily. And like you were saying, Sheena, if I were going to do that, you could quilt inside all of these. So we could quilt in here, so 1/4 inch inside the triangle, and it would look lovely in each of them. So a lot of quilting, you could quilt inside here around this square and then around these triangles here. And because it's, and I would start in the middle. So most definitely with that, if I'm going to stitch in them all, I will start with that middle square and work my way outwards. And it would look absolutely beautiful. Because it's a smallish square, it's easy enough to turn around. If you had got a twin size, a king size quilt, a lot more difficult, and I would probably go for free motion rather than the walking foot straight line quilting. But, oops, that's another story. So that is one, or I've got two of those, haven't I? So here's another one that we did a while ago. So the maple leaf, or whatever I called it. So this one, how would you quilt this one? What I would probably do with this one, I would quilt inside, or you could go outside. What you could do, you could go just on these pale greens, so 1/4 inch from that seam, and then in here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So minimal quilting if you didn't want to do that. Or you could go on the inside of your dark fabric. Ignore these outside edges because they're going to be enclosed in the quilt as you go binding, the sashing. But then I'd start here, go inside here, and around here, basically outline this maple leaf. There's another maple leaf there. The friendship star. Oh, here's a friendship star. Let's just have a look. Friendship star. So similarly there, if you wanted to quilt inside of the star, all the way round, if you want to go just around the greens so that the star is left just as your flat fabric, absolutely fine. Now I've got another one here. This one, let's have a look, see how we do this one. Now this one, I might even, I used Thermolam, which is, I've got a, oh no, I've stitched that together, haven't I? I've got another bit here somewhere. Oh, who knows, it's gone somewhere. Oh, it's behind here. I've got a bit here, this is Thermolam. So it's the like thick felt, and it will keep it nice and flat. So not snuggly, I would probably use 80-20, which is 80% cotton and 20% polyester, and that would be really great if you're making it lap size or bigger. And they start as square. I know. So this one, you could quite easily get away with, sorry, it's that way, isn't it? With doing cross hatching. Now cross hatching, you could start at this corner and go across, oh, I'm doing it backwards, aren't I? Across to this point, and I go across to this point, and then across to the corner there. And then here, I could go down this small square, whoops, diagonally, let's put that down. I could go diagonally, I put that on my top, it's easier. I could go diagonally here, so I go across there, across there, across there, because I've got these diagonal points that I can just go straight across. And again, oh, I think I said down there, I've got all those points made by those squares and half square triangles that I could do that. So I could, as much as I could go up here, I could then also go the opposite way as well. So we've got cross hatching, which means the diagonals and the diagonals in the opposite direction as well. And I think that would look really, really nice. So lots of options. I'll perhaps, before we finish, we've got 3 more months of blocks. So perhaps in one of the next blocks I'll give you a few more alternatives on how to do your quilting. But it gives you the opportunity now, if you'd like to get on with making a few, or quilting a few of your blocks, so that you haven't got 12 blocks right at the end to quilt and feel under pressure that you've not quilted them all yet. Oh, I've got that one on the floor. So, let me see. So this is what we did today, our disappearing 9 patch. And as you see, I've just quilted quite simply the diagonals and that diagonal there. I then stitched to both sides of my seam line, that centre one, and this vertical one here, I've stitched to either side of that. Oh, thank you, Eileen, so kind of you. So, as I say, for those of you that have never or have done very little in the way of patchwork, this one is a very good one to start. If you look through the other blocks that are still in this group, they're all there. It may be that you don't feel confident enough to tackle one of those. Why not do a whole quilt making lots of these, and then just wait till December when we join them all together and you'll learn that technique. So there we are. So that is, and that was the other one I did as well. So you've got the choice, 2 colours, 3, 4, all 9. If you want to do a completely scrappy one so that it's got 9 different squares that start this off, absolutely fine. We'll see what, so when you've made yours, if you would like to put a picture of it, of your block, because I think we will see lots of different ones, but in the Sew Trisha Sews group, not this group, oh thank you Janice and Beverly, so in the Sew Trisha Sews, and let's see how many different disappearing 9 patch blocks that we will see, and all from the fact here it's 9 squares that we're going to sew together, and we can put them in any order we like, or all 9 different. Thank you Gita, and thank you Elaine. So just before we go, I'll just give you a sneaky of Friday's demo. This is what we're doing on Friday. This is what I was going to do last Friday. It's a table runner, it's about 3 foot long, 36, oh you can see that better there. So that is what we're going to be doing on Friday. Oh, thank you Sandra. I have power, I do, I have power, thank goodness, and it's lasted all the time. So this is called Twisted, and I shall have, this is autumnal. I love these colours, they're Stoff fabrics. Can you see that beautiful gold on the cream? It's one of the Christmas range, but there's 2 other autumnal ones with poppy heads and little dotty bits. So that's the Twisted table runner. A little bit of quilting on there as well. So that's Friday. I will have some kits, and the one I'm going to make up is in blues. And believe you me, the blues are just as lovely as these rusty tones. So thank you Tony. Thank you Caroline. I'll leave that with you. I just thought I would give you, oh I could show you on the back, got a few little bits of work, but there is the quilting on the back. So not difficult, all straight line, and using exactly the same techniques I did before, with the wadding. Oops, that's fallen on the floor. Yes. So I'm a temptress, am I, Fiona? But I thought you'd like that. It's not tricky at all, believe you me. I'm not going to tell you now, but what you have, they're half square triangles, and you stitch 3 together exactly the same all the time. So just think, just 3 half square triangles in a row, and you create that, how many did 2, 4, 6, 8 times. I made the blocks and did that in half an hour. On another level, no Suzanne, so once you have, after we've done the first session of the absolute beginners, it is going to be purely based on squares for beginners. We will move on to half square triangles, and once you've done half square triangles, which is what these are, perfect, you will be away with patchwork. So thank you for joining me tonight. I shall be here tomorrow with a circular bag, similar to the one I did before, but which we're doing slightly different. So thank you for joining me. It's been lovely to have your company. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you tomorrow at 6:30. Bye for now.